Hello and welcome to the National League Rugby Preview Show, round 11th edition, powered by Talking Rugby Union. Well, the temperatures are starting to drop, winter feels like it's upon us, and the National League Rugby season is really starting to heat up, and there is no better time to join us on the journey as we rapidly approach the midway point of this campaign. So do continue to like and share our content both on YouTube and our social media channels. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is absolutely free to do. Just click the button just below this video and that can be your early Christmas present to us as we turn the corner towards December. And as I said at the top, we know it's getting colder out there at the minute, but your support on a weekend at your local National League Rugby club is so important. And to be fair, at this time of year, the majority of us are in good spirits, aren't we? We're in jovial spirits with Christmas not too far away, and that all makes for a great atmosphere at a rugby club. So if you can, from now right up until December the 21st, which is when we take our break for Christmas, do keep supporting your local National League Rugby team, your favourite National League rugby team, because we know it is much appreciated from all the clubs across National 1 and National 2. And I'm sure supporters of National 2 East Club, Tunbridge Judians, which were one of our featured clubs on the National League Rugby Preview Show last week, had smiles on their faces after round 10. The National 2 East League leaders making it 10 wins from 10. So a big thanks to Chairman Darren Graysby for his time last week to give us a little bit of an insight into Tunbridge Judians. And a big thanks also to Leicester Lions boss Gareth Collins as the National 1 side were one of our other featured clubs in round 10's edition of the National League Rugby Preview Show. But before we go into round 11 and before we look ahead to this weekend, we are recording this on Wednesday morning. So we know some of the weather we've experienced with some of the snowfall has been worse in some parts of the country than others. So do forgive us if we have had to swap and change things around, if fixtures have changed or there has been postponements announced. But for now, later on, we'll be talking to Fylde in National 2 North. We'll be catching up with joint head coach Alex Loney. Now, the Lancashire club have made a decent start to the National 2 North season. They currently sit fourth in the standings and they welcome second place Leeds Tykes to Woodlands on Saturday. And to be fair, at Woodlands, the home of Fire Rugby Club, we've seen some mega crowds already this season and we expect something similar on Saturday. So that is a really good game to look forward to with Alex, and that is to come later on. But before that, we'll be diving into National 2 East, where we'll be hearing from Colchester following their first win of the season last time out. They beat Sevenoaks away from home to open their account in National 2 East. But it's been a very interesting few weeks at Raven Park with the club parting company with head coach Craig Burrows appointing forwards coach and former Northampton Saint Mikey Haywood in interim charge. And of course, most recently, they picked up that first win, their first ever win in National League Rugby in round 10. And Colchester have a crucial home game to come against bottom of the table Worthing this coming Saturday. So we'll be giving that the big build-up with Colchester a little bit later on. And as always, we start in National 1, where on last week's National League Rugby Preview Show, we highlighted Leicester Lions' meeting with Esher towards the bottom of the division, and it proved to be a gripping contest in the Midlands. The lead changed hands on multiple occasions and it remained in the balance really up until the hour where a brace from James Botterill effectively helped Esher to a 36-31 win at Wesley Park. It's now 3 victories in 5 for Peter Winterbottom's side, who are up to 11th in the standings, while another setback for Leicester Lions against a table rival means they remain in the bottom 2. At the top of National 1, league leaders Rams made it 10 wins from 10 as they fought off Blackheath on Old Bath Road. Rams boss Seb Reynolds telling the club website that it was one of the best contests he's been involved with in National 1 this year, and it was his side who eventually prevailed in a gripping encounter in Berkshire. A wonderful try there as well, finished off by Zach Clow. At second place, Richmond also remain unbeaten after battling to a 2015 win away at 8th placed Plymouth Albion. Rob Powell's side were both good in defence and clinical in attack when they needed to be at Brickfield, and it means the gap is now 3 points between themselves and Rams, heading into an important few weeks for those sides towards the summit of the table. Rams actually host Richmond on December 6th under the Friday night lights of Old Bath Road, and there are all sorts of matchups between the current top four between now and Christmas, starting with this weekend, which we'll definitely come on to in a couple of minutes' time. At the other end of the table, Sedgley Park dropped a place in the standings as, despite the league's top try scorer Reece Henderson helping to propel his side into a 27-17 lead against Rotherham Titans last time out, the Tigers were eventually downed by the Titans 35-30 at Park Lane, and they now sit above Leicester Lions and Darlington Moden Park. So on to the fixtures then for round 11 in National 1, where 9th place Deans Crusaders visit Blackheath. The Crusaders unbeaten in 3 at home after their 31-15 win over Sale FC last time out, but it'd be tough to translate that onto the road against a Blackheath side that have won their last 4 at the Utility. Birmingham Moseley's trip to Darlington Moden Park has unfortunately been postponed, obviously due to the cold weather we have been having, and that has affected that fixture up in the northeast. Esher versus Bishop Stortford, a chance for Esher to make it a full house for November with 3 straight wins. They've won their last 2 at home, but an impressive Stortford side will provide a test for them on Saturday. Richmond host Sedgley Park in round 11, and it could be a big weekend for Rob Powell's side. Of course, they could enter December unbeaten in 11 matches, but for those who have scanned the fixtures already, you will notice at 3rd place Rotherham take on Rams this weekend at Clifton Lane. It really does kickstart a run of games where possible title candidates all face one another. Tabletoppers Rams going for 11 wins from 11, and that's something they did actually achieve a couple of years ago when they took the title race right down to the wire. But we know how strong Rotherham have been at home over the last 18 months or so, and they'll look to be strong again at Clifton Lane. Sticking with the top 4 theme, Roslyn Park will be looking to bounce back from seeing their 6-match unbeaten run come to an end last time out when they entertained Plymouth Albion, while after 2 weeks on the road, 7th place Sale FC are back at Haywood Road to take on Leicester Lions, who will be eager for a positive display in the Northwest. We start National 2 this week in National 2 East with one of our feature clubs being Colchester on the National League Rugby preview show, and it is a big game for them this weekend, isn't it, as they host Worthing, but they come into round 11 with a spring in their step after claiming their first win of the season last time out. You may remember in round 9 it was late drama for them against Westcombe Park, which broke their hearts, but that was not going to be the case this time around for Mike Haywood's men, as an 80th minute try from fly half Gabe Jones sealed a 28-23 victory for Colchester over 12th place Sevenoaks, and it has moved Colchester level on points with Oaks going into this weekend. So it felt like a really crucial win at a crucial time in the season for Colchester. At the other end of the table, the league leaders Tunbridge Judians displayed their quality yet again to earn a 10th straight victory and make it 50 points from a possible 50. They were 8-0 down to 9th placed Old Albanian early on, but any thoughts of TJ's record being under threat were quickly banished as they scored 4 unanswered tries either side of half-time. Oways did battle back, but Jordan Turner-Hall and Seb Sherwood's side saw out the contest. So a quick look at the standings then, where TJ's maintained their advantage at the top, and in fact all of the top 6 sides picked up maximums in round 10. That of course includes second place Dorking, who made it 9 wins in a row. Armand Rue's side relentless at the minute as they secured a 61-34 win against Worthing Raiders away from home. And in terms of Worthing, they are 2 points behind their nearest rivals, which of course includes Colchester. And as we said at the top, Colchester are one of our featured clubs on the National League Rugby preview show this week. And it's been an interesting few weeks for Colchester, who were promoted to this level for the first time in their 100-year history for this season. They began their maiden term in National 2 East, though, with 8 straight defeats, and it led to the club parting company with head coach Craig Burrows and putting forwards coach Mike Haywood in interim charge of the first 15. Now, Mike began his playing career at Colchester, and those watching will probably best know Mike from his very successful playing career at Northampton Saints, where he spent 14 years in the Premiership. But since Mike has taken the reins at Colchester, they picked up 7 points for his first 2 games in charge, including last week's win away at Sevenoaks. And coming into this Saturday back at Raven Park, Colchester have another opportunity to take steps in the right direction when they host bottom of the table Worthing. So we caught up with Mike as well as Colchester chairman Karl O'Brien to discuss the club's start to the season, last week's win over Sevenoaks, and this huge clash on Saturday against Worthing. Before we kind of get into the big chat ahead of this weekend's massive game against Worthing for you guys, Karl, let's start with you if you don't mind. And I can imagine there's been smiles on faces since Saturday evening at Colchester after you guys claimed your first win at the weekend against Sevenoaks. I mean, we got a little bit of an inkling on social media of what it meant to the lads and the team to get over the line on Saturday. But just tell us about those feelings after the game.
Yeah, I think it's big for everyone. Obviously, big for Mike here, and great for the boys who have worked really, really hard. We were so close the week before. Westcombe Park didn't quite make it, as obviously you're well aware. But to get over the line, probably to get the monkey off the back, being honest, that's great. And credit to all the boys and Mike for pushing everybody really hard to do that.
Yeah, I think the guys have been brilliant. It's been a tough start to the season, and every single week the guys have been showing up, putting in the effort within training, and we haven't got the results that we wanted. But the last couple of weeks, after a few changes to some of their schedules and putting out plans for them to look at, i.e. around our game plan, and the guys have just stuck to it, done a fantastic job, and we're just looking forward now to playing the game against Worthing.
Yeah, and of course, people who watch the show, Karl, will know that obviously Colchester have gone through a bit of a change over the last few weeks with your parting company with former head coach Craig Burrows. And I know in the club statement on the website, it referenced kind of the difficult start to the season that Colchester had. So does that explain why the club decided to make the change? And if you're able to tell us what are the ongoing plans in terms of the coaching structure, or is that still TBC, if you like?
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously Mike's come on board. He's already with us. He's got his roots in the club. He's come through the minis and the juniors here. Mike played with one of my sons through the age group, so I know Mike extremely well, which I think helps. He's got Colchester in his blood, and I think that DNA is really important as well from that point of view. And obviously, having played in the Premiership for 14 years, all the lads respect and understand what he's saying, and he makes that very clear when it comes across in training. I think that's really important.
For me personally, when I retired, I always wanted to come back to Colchester, so I always kept touch with Karl, saying once I'm done, I'm going to come back and we're going to come help out. And for me personally, the club helped me out quite a lot, and I wanted to make sure that I could give something back when I retired. So I've very, very much really enjoyed the challenge that's been put in front of me, and relishing the opportunity to dive in and do a bit more at the club.
Yeah, and Karl's not been trying to persuade you to pull the boots back on Mike, has he at all? Or
in the beginning, yes, but as of the longer that I've been away from it, the more my body started to say no.
You've probably seen the brutality of National League Rugby, and you thought, do you know what? Maybe not for me.
Do you know what? It's a very physical league. The likes of Tunbridge, they've got George Merrick playing for them. He's got 100 caps for Quins. Like, they're not. This league isn't a small league. It's got proper players in, and they all look like proper rugby players that you could put into a Premiership side and they wouldn't look out of place. So, yeah, it is really physical league.
Yeah, and if obviously the experience you have, Mike, have you spoken to anyone in the game? I know it's only been sort of 2 games you've been in charge of Colchester, but have you spoken to any of the coaches you've worked with? Any tips or advice from them, or you've kind of tried to do it your own way a little bit and speak to those guys internally at Colchester?
Yeah, so I'll do stuff personally and then I'll go ask questions once I've done it. I still stay in touch with the guys at Northampton. So a couple of times last season, I went down to go watch training sessions to see if anything new has happened and stuff. So and it's something that I'm going to try and do regularly this season because as a coach now, a head coach, I want to keep developing. The game always changes. It's never one thing is always going to work. So for me personally, I'm always trying to look how I can develop and how I could get the best way to get the knowledge over to the players and the best way to prime them for a game and things like that. So yeah, for me, I try to do it myself first, and then if I'm struggling, I'll ask for some help.
Yeah, that's encouraging, Karl, that Mike's speaking to the Premiership champions and getting advice. That can only be a good thing.
Yeah, look, Mike is really open book. He listens to people. We've got some good players here. We're working and liaising with Cambridge at the moment. We've got a couple of loan players on board. I think the experience that a couple of them have brought to us have really helped. And I think, look, I know Mikey a long while. He's a winner. Personally, I don't like losing. It'd be odd if I did. But I think we've got the right mentality here. We've got the right people in place. We knew it was a big step up, and make no mistake, it has been a step up in all respects. Every time we go away to clubs or when they're here, we learn something new on and off the pitch all the time. And if we keep doing that, I think with the players we've got, and probably with some new introductions as well along the way, I think we'll get there.
And after 2 weeks on the road, Karl, it'd be nice to get back to Raven Park on Saturday, won't it? You kind of mentioned before we hit record that their pre-match lunches are always a really good occasion. I expect it will be exactly the same on Saturday with Worthing coming to town.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as I said to you, we've got circa 200 people for pre-match lunch. A great big shout out to all of our sponsors who support us fantastically and have done for many years, and particularly our main sponsors, SRC Group and Whitehall Resources, who over the years have been fantastic. And to be honest, without them and all the sponsors, we wouldn't be here now. It's not possible. Everything costs money, as we all know, and they've just been absolutely superb. So yeah, we have a big lunch before every game, and sponsors are involved, supporters are involved, and hopefully on top of the 200 we'll get another few hundred to come watch the game as well. Certainly any of our visiting teams have not been disappointed when they've come down here. We like to give good hospitality and try not to do it on the pitch if we can.
I'm sure that will be the case on Saturday, as we've mentioned during our chat, Mike. A crucial game coming up for you guys against Worthing. But how much belief and confidence will the lads have, do you think, going into training as we're speaking tonight on Tuesday and Thursday, given the result that you got last week against Sevenoaks? Because I don't know what it is, but when you beat a team in and around you in a table, it can add that little bit extra, can't it?
Yeah, I think at the moment there's loads of energy and buzz around the group, and getting that win against Sevenoaks has just sort of boosted that, I guess. And all it can take is just that one win, and you get one win that leads to two, and then two leads to three, and then you start building momentum. So for us, we know Worthing are going to be a challenge. They played Dorking at the weekend and they scored 30 odd points. So those bonus points that they're picking up could pay dividends at the end of the season. For us, we're just looking forward to the challenge. And as you said, we're back at home, and for me, it's the first one that I'm going to be in charge back at home. So that's exciting for me. And we love playing at Ravens Park. So I think the boys are really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that finally, Mike. How special will it be for you on Saturday? As we said already, it's your boyhood club. You start your career. It might be I know you've been as a forwards coach, you've experienced it before, but leading the team out effectively, it will be a special afternoon for you, won't it?
Yes, it's a real privilege. As I say, there's a lot of people here that helped me out to get through the system and get to where I did at Northampton. And for me personally, it's awesome to be able to come back here and give back the knowledge that I picked up along the road. So I'm super excited, and no better place to come and play.
And finally, just a question for you both, really. I mean, how much would a win mean for you going into December, and a home win at that? I mean, last year, Karl, obviously winning at home was a really good thing for you guys. So I guess you want to get that one off the mark going into the Christmas period.
It would be big, as Mike said. You know, we've got some momentum going. Obviously, it's important to carry that through. So yeah, we're going to be pushing very hard, as we do in every game. But yeah, of course, it would be very important.
As I say, the boys love playing here. Last season, we didn't lose a home game. So for us this year, as Karl mentioned, it's been a big step up in terms of physicality, in terms of game plans and structures and things like that. So for us, we're just super excited about the challenge that we're facing. And I think the energy and buzz around the group at the moment is great. So hopefully that can continue this weekend.
So a big thanks to Karl and Mike for their time earlier this week. Understandably, Karl did say he didn't want to focus too much on the departure of former boss Craig Burrows as the club begin to build on the promotion they all achieved last year. And what an opportunity for them to continue building in the right direction against Worthing on Saturday. And it's expected to be a brilliant atmosphere at Raven Park, especially pre-game, with their pre-game lunch always a hit. And we are sure the 80 minutes of rugby will only add to the occasion in Essex on Saturday. But let's take a look at the rest of the fixtures now in National 2 East, where League leaders Tunbridge Julians will be going for 11 heaven when they visit 7th place Bury St Edmunds. Can TJs make it 11 straight wins going into December? Colchester versus Worthing we've mentioned, but just on Worthing, they actually won the second half 21-14 against Dorking last week, even with a growing injury list. Now, only Bury St Edmunds, outside of the top 4, have picked up more bonus points than Worthing, so they will be up for the fight on Saturday. That is for sure. It should be a cracker at Dorking this weekend, as the second place side host third place Guernsey Raiders. The Raiders clocked up another home win last time out as they defeated Oxford Harlequins 49-27 at Butts Lane. 5th versus 6th sees Henley Hawks face Canterbury. The Hawks made it 5 wins in a row in round 10, but they did so in remarkable fashion. 3 tries in the final 4 minutes, 2 from winger Leyland Gordon, clinched a 36-28 victory at Havant, while for the second week running, Canterbury racked up the half century with a 59-35 win over Bury St Edmunds. So it should be a really entertaining watch at Dry Lees on Saturday afternoon. Old Albanian take on Barnes. Barnes winger Jack Birch scored 4 tries in last week's 34-12 win over Westcombe Park, and they will visit an Old Albanian side who'll be looking to put in a performance after the news last week that their honorary secretary, Peter Lipscomb, sadly passed away. And Peter was a real heart and soul of the club, and everyone's thoughts at National League Rugby continues to be with Peter's family, friends, and everyone connected to Old Albanian. Elsewhere, Oxford Harlequins face Havant. Oxford Quins battling to a try bonus point away at Guernsey Raiders last weekend, and will now be looking to extend their unbeaten home record to 4 matches. And 8th place Westcombe Park host Sevenoaks. We know Westcombe Park make Goddington Dean a really tough place to visit, but Sevenoaks will be eager to bounce back after defeat to Colchester in round 10. Over to National 2 West now, where league leaders Camborne were not stopped in their tracks by Luctonians in round 10 following an absorbing top of the table battle at the recreation ground. Camborne had to be clinical and they had to stay strong in defence against a powerful Lux side, and over 800 at the recreation ground celebrated a 9th win of the season for the Cherry and White. So Camborne march on into round 11. And it was also an interesting weekend towards the bottom of National 2 West, where 12th placed Hinckley are starting to produce the sort of form they expect from themselves. After 3 straight home wins, they collected their first away victory of the season last Saturday as they beat Exeter University 41-31. Hooker Murray Davidson scoring a hat-trick for Hinckley as they recorded a third success in their last 4 games. So they are moving in the right direction, are Chris Campbell's side. And there was also big results for Redruth in round 10 after defeat to bottom of the table Devonport Services at the beginning of November. They responded by coming from behind against second from bottom Macclesfield to earn a 34-19 win at home. So a good response for Nigel Hamley's side heading into the final game of the month. So just a quick glance at the table before we have a look at the fixtures for round 11, where Hinckley's winners moved them 6 points clear of the bottom 2, with Redruth moving up to 9th place. And in terms of the top half of the table, right at the very summit, Campbell remain 10 points clear, with their nearest challengers now being Taunton Titans and Clifton, who are level on points. Clifton actually were involved in a proper battle last time out against Loughborough Students, but managed to pull through the contest. It was 26-all going into the final quarter. Then Clifton had their scrum half Mitch Spencer sent off for a second yellow card, but Ricky Kano was able to score the decisive try for Clifton to help his side to a 33-26 win, and it is now 5 victories in a row for Clifton. So what about the fixtures then for round 11, and what a way to begin with table toppers Campbell visiting 4th placed Cinderford. The hosts roared back superbly to earn a 29-all draw against Hornets last time out, and they'll now be targeting a 4th home win on the spin. So can Cinderford, or will Cinderford, be able to change the dynamic in this title race? Clifton, as we mentioned before, are one of the form sides in the league at the moment, and Hornets take the trip up the M5 to Station Road on Saturday. Just 2 defeats in the last 7 matches for 8th placed Hornets. Devonport Services take on Loughborough Students. The division's bottom club are looking for back-to-back home wins after their indiscipline was punished in their 57-20 loss to 2nd place Taunton Titans last time out. As for Loughborough, they'll be keen to stop the rot after no win in 6 games for Martin Webdale's side. Hinckley welcomed Redruth to Leicester Road, with Chris Campbell's men aiming for a 4th successive home win, which would maintain their upward trajectory. 5th place Luctonians entertained Bourneville. The visitors were shut out by Old Redcliffians last time out and will be seeking a first away win of the season. But we all know Mortimer Park is a very, very tough place to go. But can Bourneville break their duck on the road this weekend? Macclesfield are back at Priory Park to face Taunton Titans. Mac have really performed well at home this term, and they will have taken some positives from that defeat away at Redruth last week. But picking up points in Cheshire remains a priority for Mac, even against high-flying Taunton this weekend. And 6th placed Old Redcliffians, who put in a really solid display on both sides of the ball to earn a 23-12 win against Bourneville last time out. They return to Scotland Lane to take on Sea University. And we end in National 2 North this week, where the focus did seem to be towards the bottom of the table in round 10, as yet again 2 of the bottom 3 sides played one another, with 12th place Tyndale hosting bottom of the table Harrogate, with Tyndale, of course, looking to build on round 9's win against Sheffield Tigers. But it was Harrogate who twice held a reasonable advantage in this one. They led 14-0 and 33-21 during different stages of this contest, but Tyndale's Will Roberts scored 10 minutes from time to effectively seal a draw. Harrogate's Tom Steen did have a chance to win it with a penalty late on, but his attempt sailed wide of the post, and it might have felt like one that got away from Martin Wood and Dan Scarborough's Harrogate side, whilst Tyndale fought back on a couple of occasions to earn a 3rd draw of the season. So a 33-all draw up in the northeast at Tyndale Park, and table rivals and 13th place Sheffield Tigers also shared the spoils in round 10 as they drew 24 all away at Otley. Now, on Saturday morning, the Tigers announced on Instagram that head coach Adam Byron had respectfully decided to step away from the club, with Sheffield Tigers going on to say they were unable to reach an agreement on terms and the future direction of the club with Adam. But nevertheless, the Tigers did earn themselves 3 points at Cross Green, with Will Archer rumbling over 7 minutes from time. So even Stevens for those clubs towards the bottom of National 2 North. But at the top, we of course have to mention league leaders Lim, who made it the perfect 10 last time out by beating Billingham 36-26 away from home. 3 tries in the opening 14 minutes set the platform for the table toppers en route to them claiming 50 points out of 50. And this wonderful story, this wonderful season continues for Adam Fletcher and Andy Davis' side. So onto the table then, and as we say, Limp continue to lead the way as they are yet to drop a point this term. Leeds Tykes remain in second after an emphatic response to their round 9 loss to Lim, as they claimed an 11-try 75-31 victory over Chester, while it was all 5 points for third place Sheffield in their hard-fought 40-33 success against Hull Ionians. And as we said, at the other end of the standings, all of the bottom 3 picked up 3 points last time out, and in fact only 4 points separate the bottom 5 heading into round 11. And at the top of the bottom 5, if you like, are Hull, who, given the couple of draws that we saw with Tynedale and Harrogate and the one that Sheffield Tigers were involved in as well, it meant that their superb 23-21 win over 4th place Fylde in round 10 might have carried a little bit more weight. A really good win for Mike and Manga's side as they ended Fylde's 6-match winning streak, and as they once again made life difficult for one of those sides towards the right end of the table. We've seen Hull make life difficult for Lim and Sheffield at home this season. They beat Wharfdale away as well, and they also beat Fylde last time out on their own patch. So in terms of Fylde, they'll be searching for an instant response before we head into December, and the Lancashire outfit are in fact one of our featured clubs on the preview show this week. And that result at Hull aside, which they obviously were on the wrong end of last time out, it has been a very solid opening 6 2 of the 4 home games though so far have seen over 1,000 people attend, and we could see something similar when they host second place Leeds Tykes on Saturday afternoon. It is one of the biggest fixtures across National League Rugby to conclude November with, and it was a fixture last season that Fylde actually won at Woodlands, and it effectively derailed Leeds Tykes' title bid. But right now, these 2 sides are 2 of the top sides in the division, and they will clash in the Northwest this weekend. So we should be in for a cracking spectacle, and we caught up with Fylde joint head coach Alex Loney. Before we go into, obviously, a big game for the weekend against Leeds Tykes, I know we don't want to do this straight away, but briefly touching on last weekend against Hull for you guys. Obviously, it wasn't the result that you guys would have wanted, especially going there with sort of 6 wins in a row. But we know Hull have given top sides some really difficult afternoons so far this season, and it was the same again on Saturday. So we're training to come tonight and building up to Leeds. What were the main takeaways for you guys from that game?
I think there's a few things that still kind of ring true in our minds. I think the first one is that there's some quality teams in the league, you know, and I think regardless of form, whether you're home, whether you're away, whether, you know, you should or could be a side, you know, you're going to have a challenge every single Saturday. You know, no complaints in terms of our players. You know, they train well, they were motivated, they prepared. We just didn't get enough on the field for long enough. I don't think we're good enough for long enough. And, you know, I think if you start taking sort of things for granted and you're going to come up short. So all credit to Hull. I mean, 23-21, I think shows the tightness of the game. And I think that's fair. I think the message, you know, Chris and I gave after was we're the same team, same coaches, same people. We've lost a game of rugby. It wasn't down to not turning up or not preparing or anything like that. So yes, be disappointed to lose, be annoyed, because that's what we're here for. But let's not sulk. Let's not be get too carried away. Because as you rightly pointed out, we've put some good things on the field since September, and we've got to aim to do that this week. I mean, definitely got to do that this week, because if we don't perform well, we're not going to give ourselves a chance of winning that game against Leeds. So we've got to get our performance level right.
You and Chris have obviously been there. I think this is 3 seasons now, or 4 seasons that you've been in charge of the club. So are you kind of happy with the overall direction of where Fylde are? Because the top 5 club for the last 3 seasons, second in 2022-23. So the overall right direction of the club, is that something you're really pleased in what you've seen so far during the start of the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think first and foremost, Chris and I are, passionate about the club. We've been here for a long time now. I think it's coming on to 15 years as players, player coaches, and now head coaches. And so it's something that we commit to. Whichever one you've got to in National League, but obviously it means a little bit more. Obviously, we're being Fylde in a club we've been associated with for a long time. I think the structure around the club, starting from the committee. And the decision makers there, they've done nothing but back us as coaches. I think regardless of when we're winning, we're losing, anything in between, they do back us and the senior squad in terms of making sure, we can look after the players. And it's little things like having the right medical, food after training, making sure the little bits are there so players feel valued, and I think in terms of the wider club, we're very proud of every team and all the things that we do, and obviously that might be the spotlight on a first team from time to time, but the mini and juniors, I've already mentioned the Hawks, our 5 Vandals, they're having a great season. We've got girls rugby back at Fylde in the junior age groups. The Colts are re-established for this year, so there's a lot of good things going on at the club, and I think to enable us to get the best first team squad together and compete at the top end of National 2 North, we feel well supported and well motivated to keep striding. I mean, we make sure that we build a group of players that want to be at the club for multiple seasons. They want to get better. And then if that brings some success in terms of league position or beyond, then, we're striving towards that, but it has to come through merit rather than forcing issue by other means.
It's so interesting you say that, Alex, and probably people who've watched the show consistently will probably think I'm sounding like a broken record a little bit, but so many directors, rugby head coaches, players have said environment's absolutely key to us enjoying ourselves, and once you get that right, then results can come in and you can maybe assess where you want to go in the season. And having visited Fylde a few times, you do get the sense that it really is a one club feel with, the work you guys do in the community, as you mentioned, all the teams below the first 15 at the moment going really well as well. So how important is that for you and Chris, since you guys have been in charge of the club? And I know you said there, from a playing point of view, when your playing career, has that environment been to the development of Fylde over the last few years?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and I think I mentioned various sections of the club, but there's a lot of people involved that have played for the club. Their kids are involved in the club in some way. Well, family members have volunteered. There's links sort of all over the place, and I think that's true with many rugby clubs in the country. I don't want to be saying that this is obviously just a Fylde thing, but it's something that we're proud of and we want to celebrate. Within the living community, Fylde is a well-known sporting venue. So whether you're there for rugby, either watching the first team or being involved in one of the teams, we have a lot of things that are going on alongside. So our function rooms are used for local events. We've got a small Astro pitch which is used for sport, five-a-side football, schools, all sorts of things that are going on. So yeah, it's important that we've got that standing within the community. We're so lucky in terms of the numbers that come out down to watch the first team and other teams as well. The club is well attended, and I mentioned before about the benefits and the the things that the players will enjoy. Well, playing in front of a decent crowd is definitely one of them. And and I think when we get a home game for the first team at Fylde, it's usually busy. There's plenty of atmosphere, and then there's obviously certain games which have a few more down and a little bit more feel to it. But yeah, I mean that goes back to the effort of many people in the club. So we've got a huge range of volunteers in terms of promoting the club and speaking positively, and whether that's through our social media or for our connection to our members or other local people. We want to invite as many people down as we can and make sure they have a good day and want to come back, which is obviously very important. So yeah, really enjoy home games, particularly at Fylde, and obviously we've got a few exciting ones to look forward to.
Yeah, a nice segue into one of those exciting games this weekend, Alex, against Leeds Tykes. And obviously it was quite well documented for people who follow National 2 North that you were one of just two teams to beat Leeds Tykes last season at Woodlands 18-15 back in April. So I think maybe a double question for this, Alex. First of all, what kind of are your memories from that game? And two, can you at all take anything from that victory? I know personnel changes and a lot's happened since then in terms of National League Rugby, but can you take anything from that victory at the back end of last season?
Yeah, I think going on to last season to begin with, I think it was a huge game for Leeds, wasn't it? And ultimately it did cost them their place in National 1. I think from our side, we just wanted to play well against a good side. We're mentioning consistency of our season, but we also felt there was a good performance in us, or performances. And I think something that's been part of the culture at Fylde is really wanting to perform well against top teams in the league. And at that point there was no better. Leeds were obviously leading the league and had a fantastic season. So it wasn't a motivation of spoiling their party or trying to impact on that. It was purely Fylde's sort of side of wanting to play well against a good side, and we managed to get that win. I think after the game there was plenty made in terms of of the impact of what that had to the season, and I'm sure the Leeds guys would have been bitterly disappointed, but I don't think it changed anything for how we saw them. They were a class side. They were really good last year. Would have been more deserving winners of the league. But when we do play at home, we want to make sure that our members and our supporters get a performance that we're proud of. And if we do play well, then obviously we've got the capacity to win games. And I think this Saturday it's against Leeds, it's nothing different really. We want to put on a good performance. We're coming on the back of a loss, we want to play well. And if we do, then I'm sure we'll be in a position to compete for the win. If you are in the area, please get down to Woodlands. It's going to be a really good game. We've got a quality side coming. The Fylde players are going to want to do well. So, yeah, if you can get down, please do. And I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
And a huge thanks to Alex for his time on the preview show. As he said there, Fylde steadily building at their own pace, but are consistently one of the strong sides in this division. They are unbeaten at home so far this season, but Leeds Tykes will arrive in Lancashire on the back of that thumping win over Chester, whilst also potentially looking to avenge last year's loss at Woodlands in April. So two really good sides going head to head on the weekend. It should be a belting game, as should be the other 6 matches that we have lined up in National 2 North. So let's take a look at them now, starting with Chester versus Billingham at Hare Lane. As we mentioned, Chester will be licking their wounds after last week's tough loss at Leeds, while 11th place Billingham will be looking to arrest a run of 4 straight defeats. Both teams eager for a response in Cheshire on Saturday. Harrogate versus Otley. Harrogate hunting for their 2nd win of the season and may take confidence in the fact that table rivals Sheffield Tigers went to Otley last weekend and secured a draw. But in terms of Otley, they'll be determined to claim their 2nd away win of the season. Hull Ionians versus Tyndale. That draw for Tyndale last week means it's 8 points from the last 3 games for Dean Richards and Peter Southern's side. They go to 7th place Hull Ionians on Saturday, who have beaten Sheffield Tigers and Harrogate in their last 2 home games. Lymm versus Wharfdale. The league leaders have a chance to match their points total from last season if they can secure an 11th straight bonus point win against 5th place Wharfdale. Wharfdale come into this one off the back of a clinical 40-14 win over Preston Grasshoppers last time out. And Preston Grasshoppers themselves, they take on Sheffield at Lightfoot Green. The 3rd place visitors battling to a 9th win from 10 games last time out against Hull Ionians. And in fact, the top 6 sides in National 2 North all face one another this weekend. So that will be a nice, interesting subplot to keep an eye on once the results filter through on Saturday afternoon. And finally, Sheffield Tigers versus Hull. Hull were the only team outside of the top 5 to win last weekend and will be going to Dormoor looking to build on that excellent victory against Fylde. In terms of Sheffield Tigers, they may see this as an opportunity against a fellow bottom 5 side. So that's it then for this week's National League Rugby preview show. Amazing to think that after this weekend, there will be 11 rounds into the season. And as I said at the top, please continue to like and share our content on both here and our social media channels. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button on YouTube as well. It's absolutely free to do. And your support has been much appreciated so far this season. So we thank everyone who has watched, commented, etc. on our National League Rugby preview show during the first 3 months of the campaign. Just a note in terms of the preview show as well, we'll be back on December 5th. As next week is our second break in the campaign, and when we enter December, we'll have 3 more rounds to go before Christmas. And I'll tell you now, if you haven't looked at the fixtures already, there are some really big games to come. So if you know people who haven't seen the preview show yet or aren't aware of National League Rugby, get them on board for December, because we promise you won't be disappointed as we build up to what will be, or what feels like, a very important stage in this season. Don't forget as well to check out our own website for all the latest reviews and previews. And as I always say, it is the quickest way to find out the results across National 1 and National 2 on a Saturday afternoon. If you want to find out what your rivals been up to, what other teams have been up to in your league, that is the best way to do it. Also, don't forget to check out talkingrugbyunion.co.uk, who help power all of these videos that we do. They cover all levels of rugby, including National League Rugby, but all the levels from right to the very top of the game, all the way down to grassroots, and certainly worthwhile checking out the content that Talking Rugby Union produce. But yeah, thanks again for watching the National League Rugby preview show, and wherever you're heading to this weekend, make sure you wrap up warm and make sure you also enjoy your helping of National League Rugby.